Hi, and welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me this week. So, this is the second week in a row that I have had a guest. I love having guests. I love having guests on the podcast because I think there's so much great information out there. There's so many people who have had so many really cool experiences and are doing such amazing things. And I'd love to spotlight and highlight those people on the podcast and be able to share that information and help anyone who's in the group, anyone who's listening to the podcast in any way possible. I think that just the more information we have about certain topics and certain things, especially things that impact people's lives, I think is really, really important. So we are super honored and very, very excited to have Jeanine Ramsey on with us today. And she is going to be talking about her journey to weight loss surgery. And just as a little background, Jeanine is actually scheduled for her weight loss surgery next week. But she has been working with the kind of in the Breakthrough Emotional Eating group and also as a client since September. So Jeanine, this was before you had even scheduled. You hadn't even been approved for surgery when you started working with us. Yeah. And so Jeanine knew way back that she needed to address the emotional eating piece, the mental aspect of weight loss prior to her having her surgery. And so for the last 6 months, she's been doing the work of, looking at her thoughts, looking at her feelings, looking at how much she says, what she says, how she expresses herself. And I want her to be able to kind of share with you her journey and what she's gone through and what she's discovered and how it relates to her weight loss surgery and what she's going to be doing and how she kind of has a plan in place for moving forward after the surgery as well. So in the group, if you are in the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, which we are always live, we always go live every week, and have this be, we always go live. And so anyone who's in the group, one of the questions that I would love to know is, and because this is going to be a recorded and broadcast podcast, I will not read out your answers. They will be exclusively in the group, but I would really love to know of anybody who is watching it live right now. And if you watch it on replay, please go ahead and answer on replay as well. Have you ever considered, has that thought ever gone through your head? I should look into weight loss surgery. I wonder if that's the answer for me. And so just yes or no, if you've ever thought or ever considered or thought about if that thought has ever come through your head. I know there are some people who have had weight loss surgery, and that's awesome. But if you've ever thought about it, just put a little yes or no in the comments. Just because I just, and again, I just want to see if that is something, because I know that there are a lot of people. The last time I checked, probably almost a year and a half ago, I had almost 150 people in the group who had weight loss surgery. So I know that it's something that emotional eating and weight loss surgery kind of go hand in hand. So, Jeanine Ramsey, welcome to the podcast. And would you mind sharing with our audience just a little bit about kind of where you're from and what brought you to the decision to have weight loss surgery? What brought you, kind of give us a little background, and then what brought you to that decision to have weight loss surgery?
Thank you for having me today, Kristen. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
This has been many years in the making. I have tried many times to lose weight over the years and always knew that there was something more that I was missing because I was never successful, at least not for long. I would lose some weight and always put it on back, and it always brought friends with it. And I just could never win that battle. And I have other health issues that have been going on. And over the years, I've always been the person that put me on the back burner. Everyone else came first. I live outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Um, I am a nurse, an RN. I used to be a critical care nurse. I am now a finance director, oddly enough. I went back to school and got a master's degree after I got severely burned out of bedside nursing. But I'm a caretaker. And now, 2 years ago, my mom moved in with us. She has Alzheimer's, and taking care of her takes a lot of energy. I have a husband and a son, and we all live here together. And I'm realizing now I'm getting a little older, and my son is growing up, and I need to be healthy for my family. My son is going to have a heart valve replacement surgery soon. Um, and my husband has really terrible rheumatoid arthritis. So there's a lot on my plate and a lot to deal with. So last summer, I decided that I would go to the medical weight loss clinic that my employer offers. I work at Vanderbilt University Medical Center here in Nashville. And they have a wonderful program. People come from all over the United States to participate in their program. And I always knew that it was something to be really proud of. But once that I started going to the medical weight loss clinic, I realized how special the people there were. I never felt more supported or more welcome anywhere than I have with this program. Hi, Gina. And it was really great to feel that. But one of the things that they really stress in this program is that, you know what, this truly is just a tool, and there's a lot more work that you need to do. And if you don't do it, you are going to struggle and you will not be successful. But as I went through the medical weight loss side, the physician there really worked closely with me, helped me to understand a lot of what was going on with my body, and that my body had adjusted to a new set point with weight, and that it was going to be really difficult for me to overcome that set point without doing something more. That this has gone on so long that I need to lose 115 pounds. As of now, lost 29 of those. But I need more help. And so I have a very dear friend that we've spent a lot of time talking about our weight. And we had always said, I am never going to do weight loss surgery. I just won't do it. It is not for me. It's too radical. I need more than someone operating on my stomach to make this change, because whatever it is going on in my brain.
Right.
And unless I have brain surgery, this is not going to work. But I went to the surgical weight loss clinic. I met with the surgeon, and he talked to me about the surgery. And they have a support group at the program. It's a Facebook group as well as an online virtual support group, and they meet in person now that COVID's starting to settle down a bit. And so I have a lot of support from them as well. People that are in the process, like I am, of getting to surgery, as well as those that have already had it. And so as I went through this, I began to realize that maybe this was the right avenue for me to pursue at this time, to get my health under control so I can take better care of my family. And then one of the members of the support group just happened to mention this group one day. And so that's what prompted me to go and check it out. I started following along, reading everyone else's posts. And then I decided that I wanted to get Kristins' help and Gina's. And so I admitted, I've always said that this is more about my anatomy. And I know that I'm an emotional eater. And I knew that if I didn't get that under control ahead of time, I was going to be wasting my time. So I feel probably better prepared than most people that I have seen post on a lot of the forums that I've been in on Facebook around weight loss surgery. People that haven't had the kind of support that I've had. or the kind of preparation. So as I move into this, I move in with eyes wide open that I'm going to control my primal brain and change my behaviors and learn new habits and make this what I need it to be for me and my family.
Yeah. So what would you say is something that you like, what would you say maybe would be like a pretty significant takeaway, or something that you have already started to change in your life that you know is going to serve you after surgery, but has really started to you've already started to see changes in how you feel around food and towards yourself. What would be something that you think that you've already started to incorporate?
So having conversations with myself, sitting in my feelings, and not just eating them.
Mhm.
It has been taken a lot of practice, and I still say I'm practicing because I'm not always successful, but I'm a lot better at it now than when I first started. Learning to recognize those signals of I'm not really hungry. I'm just picking this up because this is what I've always done. And realizing that has been just tremendous for me. That I honestly don't know what hunger is because I never let myself get to that point.
Mhm. Mhm.
And allowing myself to get there, just to see what that feels like. And that's
Mhm.
a really powerful thing for me to say out loud. Just hearing myself say that right now, I'm like, wow, how disappointing that is that it took that for me to learn that important lesson. But um, I've always said, to myself, I will deal with you later.
Mhm.
And later has come. I
Right.
can't keep pushing this back or it's going to affect me fundamentally. And I think in one of the first conversations I had with you, Kristen, I talked to you about I felt like I was dying.
Mhm.
I literally felt that bad every single day.
Mhm.
And I was going to my doctor and I was telling him about how bad I felt. And we were running all these tests, and he kept saying, I cannot find anything. And my endocrinologist was looking too, and she couldn't find anything. And the more we talked about it, the more we were like, this is a side effect
Mhm.
of all of the stress that your body's under from this extra weight.
Mhm.
Um, and so that was a hard realization for me,
Mhm.
to get that kind of tough love, I guess. They were supportive and they have been through my whole journey. I posted about the little charm my endocrinologist gave me
Mhm.
just last week, and that was wonderful. Um, and I'm so thankful for them. But realizing that really prompted me to move ahead with everything else
Mhm.
and to realize that I cannot wait anymore.
Right. Right. So um one of the things that we have talked about is that as you've gotten closer to your surgery date, and then with the changes that will have to happen after your surgery, there's definitely we've talked about that there are definitely changes in your family dynamic, and in how your family kind of interact with your family, and your family interacts, and can you and those have been some challenging, some tough conversations to have for somebody who just always wants to keep everybody happy. So would you mind sharing a little bit, especially the cooking aspect of it? I think that's a very, and I'm sure there are many people who might not have that exact situation, but can understand the importance of getting your spouse kind of on board with things.
Definitely. Yeah. My husband does all the cooking at our house. I am a terrible cook. I'm not afraid to admit it. And he is a wonderful cook. And he enjoys cooking very much. It's the way he shows love. And
Mhm.
so as I was heading down this path, he didn't think too much of it until we started getting closer and my habits started changing and I started really noticing that some of the foods I craved were changing. I was craving healthier foods, and he needs to lose weight too. And he and I had some conversations as we've gone along about, hey, we can do this together. And um, he was all on board with that. But then as we were getting closer to this pre-op time, uh, a realization hit him that I am going to have to change how I'm cooking, and you're not going to be eating with us for a while. And when you do, you're not going to be eating as much. And how am I supposed to plan for that? And what am I going to do? And so, yeah, it affects everyone in this household. And we're all realizing that. And yes, I am a caretaker and I want everybody to be happy. And so, one of the other things that has changed our the way we watch movies together. I had mentioned this before. He loves Asian martial arts films, and a lot of movies that have either English that you can barely understand or subtitles that you have
Right.
to read. And I've always watched them just because he enjoys them, but I absolutely hate them. And it was only a few months ago, and we've been married 21 years now, but only a few months ago, I told him, I really don't like these. And he turned and he looked at me with this just amazed look on his face. And he said, I cannot believe you have been doing this all these years and have not told me this. And so it just sort of opened the floodgates for communication that hadn't been there, that I've just acquiesced to so much. And he told me, he said, I don't need you to appease me. And so it's been really healthy and good for us. But it represents some challenges too, and we know that things are going to change more as we move further down the path. And so in ways we're getting to know each other all over again.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. So right now you are 5 days from surgery?
5 days from surgery.
5 days from surgery. And so you have already had to start making some dietary changes in preparation for your surgery. And I know and as you and I talk about all the time, and I talk about in the group all the time, that our feelings about what we can and can't eat are always our decision. We get to decide how we want to feel about our eating, and how this how things how that impacts us, how that makes us feel, what that either drives us to do or not do. And so the same type of diet you're on right now is what you're going to have to be on for the 2 weeks post-op time. What how are you prepping yourself mentally? So y'all, it's a liquid diet that she's on right now, and she'll be on a liquid diet for 2 weeks after her procedure. What kind of thoughts and thought work are you kind of doing for yourself? Because I know today you were not that excited about, when we talked this morning, you were not that, I was like, oh, it's day one. So how are you kind of using the tools that Gina and I have taught you, in order to kind of help yourself through that? Because it definitely is a challenging aspect of this.
It very much is. And I'm fortunate. I'm only having to do 5 days pre-op. A lot of people in this program have to do 14 days. And
Mm.
in our program, the surgeons base it on our BMI, and where our weight is at that last pre-op visit. So I'm in good shape comparatively and only have to do 5 days. So I'm sitting here with a glass of chicken broth in front of me. And my husband all of a sudden felt this burst of sympathy for me yesterday and went out and came back with all kinds of my favorite goodies.
Oh, because it was your last day?
Because it was my last day and I was never going to get to have those things again. And we had to have a talk about how we don't say never, because it's going to be my choice. And at some point, I will be able to eat those foods again, and it'll be my choice whether I do or not. But the thing that we've noticed as I've gone through this with all of you, is as I've talked to myself and worked on my feelings, a lot of those foods that I thought were my favorites, they don't taste as good to me anymore.
Ah,
And sometimes I think I want something so bad, and then I'll taste it and I'm like, this is not as good as I remember it, which is great.
right,
And I don't think it has anything to do with that food. I think it's all really me, and my mindset has changed.
right.
And so a lot of that he brought home, I had a couple of bites of,
Mhm,
tasted some of it, and really wasn't interested in it,
mhm.
which I was surprised about because I did think I was going to have this one last binge at the end,
Right, right,
but I didn't feel like I needed it.
right.
Um, and today, being my first day on liquids, has really been a day of they teach us how to space things out. I have to have 5 protein shakes a day. I've only had 3 so far, and it is now almost 6:30 here. So I've got 2 more to get in between now and bedtime, and I feel full.
Right.
Um, and so it's really learning to pay attention to those cues that are coming from my body to let me
Mhm,
know that I'm doing okay. And staying hydrated,
mhm.
let me tell you, that is number one.
Yep.
If I haven't learned anything else from any of these things I've been doing, it's that staying hydrated makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And now that is going to be so important for me post operatively because I am having gastric bypass, and staying hydrated is the number one goal following the surgery, because it's the biggest risk with the absorption changes that go on. Dehydration is one of the first things that can happen to you to land you back in the hospital
Mm,
afterwards.
okay. And and Vanderbilt, they prepped you for all of that. They it sounds like your
Yes.
program was absolutely amazing. I mean, it just sounds like they were so, and you know, y'all, they have in their Facebook group, they have a weekly, I think you told me it's a weekly live, and there are 3 people on the live. One of them is kind of the moderator who's actually a former client. And then there's, I believe it's a nutritionist, and then there's a psychologist that is on, and
Yes.
all 3 of them are on every week when they have when they have their Facebook lives, and they answer questions and things like that. So sounds like everything Janine's told me, it sounds like it is um, an amazing process, and that they really have the client's best interest, and they're really trying to set their clients up for the most amount of success. But Janine was the one who followed through and actually has been doing the work, and really has taken all these things to heart and actually is implementing them, because we can learn all sorts of information and then not do anything with it. But she's definitely been taking it and learning and doing, and will continue to do that. That's kind of our plan, is to continue to move forward with any, and address any of the changes that are happening as you move through your, the process after surgery, and those first 2 weeks, and then introducing food, and again, it's not really, and we've talked about this, it's not really about the how much food you can have, and each meal and that type of thing. It's all the other feelings and thoughts that go along with it, and how you'll feel just as a person, just kind of managing your own emotions, along with the changes in your body as well. So, and as that's happening, and as you're losing weight, managing that as well, because that's a huge piece too.
It really is. And, I put together my list of whys when I first started with this group. Why am I doing all of this? And
Mhm.
um, I keep that next to my bed,
Mm,
and I look at it every night before I go to sleep. And there's about 10 things on my list. And every night I will concentrate on one and sort of meditate on that one before I go to sleep.
mhm.
Um, but that has kept me motivated to keep moving,
Mhm.
because there are days when this just seems like too much. And I've had second thoughts about the surgery, and I've second guessed myself, but I keep coming back to my whys and why it's so important for me to do this now, not just for my family, but for me. And
Mhm.
um, that it's time to let me come to the forefront of this family and take care of myself for a few minutes,
Mhm.
do what I need to do to be my best self.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, could not be. I know that Gina absolutely loved working with you, and I know and as do I, and I'd love seeing all of the just the progress and the aha moments and all the things that you're learning and you're applying, and you are so prepared for next week. And what I like also, and we've talked about this extensively, is that there's a lot of stuff that you have some ideas about how things are going to change and some things you're going to need to address, but there's also a whole lot of unknown, and you have embraced that and are okay with the fact that you don't have all the answers, and that things are going to come and they're going to unfold, and as they unfold, you have a team behind you that's ready to to just to be there and support you in whatever ways it is that you need that help. And I think that that's really important, because sometimes if we set ourselves up to think like, oh, I got this, I totally know what to do, and then we realize, oh gosh, I don't know, and then we've got to deal with the feelings that we have about not getting it right. And we just and you just are being open to the whole process and just kind of going with it. And I think that's so good. And so I know that all of us, I'm gonna speak for everybody in the group just in saying good luck. And I know that everything is going to go smoothly. It sounds like you have an amazing surgeon. And so y'all, I've asked Jeanine to maybe in about a month or two come back, and she will give us an update on how things went and how she is doing, as she kind of moves through this process, and really continues to take the things that she's learned and apply them, and continue to just get the support that she needs to make this. I think the thing that I love is that you've seen that, that in order to make this to be a success, that there is work that's going to have to continue to happen, probably every day forever. You'll have these things that you'll work on, these little aspects of your belief in yourself that you'll work on every day. So I know that I know how Gina felt about you. I know how I feel about you. And so it's just, we all wish you the very, very best. Is there any final things that you would like to share with the listeners about just about weight loss surgery in general? And because you definitely had some mixed feelings about the whole process and everything. So is there anything you would like to share with everybody?
Yeah, I'll use my southern drawl now. Y'all, I gotta tell you, um, I was the biggest skeptic about the surgery, and I am just like Kristen. I am not here to promote it. I am not here to sell anybody on it. It is just one more tool in the toolbox that is there if you need it. That can really offer a great way to address some health issues that no medication, or there's no cure for obesity. There's not. I work in healthcare and we talk about that a lot. Um, there are ways to deal with it. Um, Changing your mindset is the biggest piece of this. And everyone who deals directly with the condition knows that that's true. But what I can say about the weight loss surgery is if you get yourself into the right group of people to support you, take care of you, and give you that ongoing support. And for me, I think that's just the most important part. This group means so much to me, to know that there are people around me that are going through the same things I'm going through every day, and that I can actually start to talk to you. I'm very introverted. This is totally outside my comfort zone. Um, but now I can feel that having that support, what a difference it makes.
Mhm.
And as I come out of this shell I've been in, insulating myself from everything, I'm starting to realize that that means more to me than anything else that I have done in this last year. And I know I can make it with all of these people around me. So, whatever you decide to do, if you've thought about surgery, if you've had surgery, if surgery is just not for you, just know you're never going to succeed in any of this without the right support system around you. You can't do it by yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
And for me, that's the biggest lesson I've learned.
Hmm. Hmm. And yeah, because as a caretaker, you were the one who was used to doing all the caring, and now you had to allow other people to be there for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's been hard.
Hmm.
That's been probably the hardest thing I've had to do is to learn to lean on other people for me,
Hmm.
and not be the strong one all the time.
Yeah.
But being the strong one all the time is destroying me.
Hmm.
So can't continue that.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself of that all the time.
Right, right. Yeah. I was just going to say, for those people who are watching in the group, how many of you, how many people did that little saying, that little phrase that she just said, that being taking care of everybody else was slowly killing her. So, I really would love everybody in the group and anybody who's listening to really think if that's something that you feel like, wow, that's me. You need to think about, again, that support system. Where how can you get a support system around you that will help you and support you in taking care of yourself? Because taking care of everybody else eventually will, and not taking care of yourself at the expense of yourself, will catch up to you, whether it's just emotionally or whether it is physically in your health, in the deterioration of your own health. It's absolutely vital that you have that support and you find that support. So yeah, I don't think truer words could have been spoken, and I think that's a great way for us to end this, is just really impressing upon everybody who's listening to make sure that you are, that it's not just a platitude of like, oh, you should take care of yourself. It's like, no, we all, like, this is your whole existence, and it needs to be a priority, and it needs to happen. So commit to yourself to making sure that happens for you. Well, Jeanine, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and to sharing your story, and to also agree to come back after your surgery, and let us get an update on how things are going and some of the things that you're going to be learning as things unfold. Best of luck. And I know you don't need any luck, but I just think I'm so proud of you, and I just think that I know that everything is going to work out just beautifully next week, and we look forward to having you back on the podcast in a couple of months, and get an amazing update from you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And everyone that's watching this, I just would ask that you keep me in your thoughts and prayers as I go through this. And I look forward to coming back and sharing with you how I did. I may post a picture next week as I'm waiting in pre-op.
Absolutely. Please do. No, we'd love that. We'd love to be able to send you some positive energy. Absolute positive energy and prayers. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this very, very special podcast. I'm so happy you were able to join us. And please join us again next week, as well as keep an eye out for an announcement, or for the upcoming podcast when Jeanine comes back on as a guest later after her surgery. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great night, and we will see you all again next week. All right, take care.